everyone, Once Bitten here. So this is Game 5, the final game of Brawler Bash 2017. Of course, my Kingdom of Equitaine again versus Warriors of the Dark Gods. And of course, the army lists are in the description. So it's been a fun tournament so far. I never do very well at Brawler Bash. I just, I don't know. I guess I could say the style of the tournament, the scoring system just doesn't match my play style. I don't know, but you know, game 1 and game 4 especially were fairly low scoring games for me, so we're about, we're mid tables here. Ended up being a great fun game. He's got a really balanced, kind of diverse warriors list. He's got Throg on the table. He's got several different marks, just kind of in different types of units, which I think, oftentimes makes for a fun game. So at the top right, he's got some fast cav units, Mark of Lust, in front of some Crusher Knights. There by the house, he's got 7 Wasteland Trolls with his general, that's the Lord of Pestilence, with Path of the Fallen. So, nasty character, fairly tough unit, especially for Knights. Behind it's a Hellscream Cannon. To the left of it are 20 Wasteland Warriors with halberds, and they've got the Mark of Pestilence. And he's got his Battle Standard Bearer on a Palanquin. Pretty cool little conversion there. And behind that unit, you can't see it very well, but he's got his Sorcerer with the Path of Shamanism on a Chariot. So, I mean, you just don't see a lot of this stuff very often, which is kind of cool. The unit of Knights, and they also have Mark of Lust. Some more fast cav to the left of that. Far right, I've got my ridiculously large unit of Peg Knights with my Lord character that's not my general. This is the Virtue of Renown. I've got archers. I've got my Trebuchet hiding in the corner. Next to the archers, I've got my Questy Knights with my Battle Standard Bearer and my Damsel. Next to them, archers with the Reliquary. Next to them is my general, Knights, Aspirant, and other Trebuchet. Yeah, so it looks something like that. I was, for the most part, I was trying to kind of hide in the corner because I have him outranged by a lot, and the extent to which I can whittle him down will only help me once we get to combat. So he vanguards, and it looks like that. And he won the roll to go first. So, yeah, I mean, he moves up. As you can see, not a whole lot happened on turn 1. Go to my turn 1. So I'm not trying to get close to him, but I did move forward with my knight units because I want to pose some kind of threat. I don't want him to feel like he can just move up at will as much as he wants. So I move up a little bit with my knights, and if he gives me a charge that I just really, really want to take advantage of, then I'll take it. Otherwise, I'm probably just going to move right back with my knights. We go to the magic phase. Not a whole lot happens. We go to the shooting phase, and he's just got a target-rich environment, right? I mean, I need to start whittling down those trolls, and so if my memory serves, I think I threw the archers at the trolls, and just really didn't do anything, hardly anything at all. I did land a rock on his warriors and killed just a whole bunch of them. I think I killed 9, so cut that unit almost in half, which makes them much, much more manageable. Matter of fact, now I don't feel the need to keep on shooting at them because, just need to make other units more manageable. We go to Warriors turn 2, and he moves up, as you can see. I don't like how my archers are so fixated on the trolls that I can't use them to deal with his fast cav, but he put this fast cav in such a way that if my knights aspirant charge him, I'm going to overrun into his knights. And now he'll probably, countercharge with his warrior unit, but I'm just loving that. So we go to the magic phase, and in my mind, I don't care which spell he gets off. The only one I care about is the one where he can put that monster down anywhere, but especially the boosted version. So I save all my dice for that, and he throws 3 dice. I think 3 dice, maybe 4. At that one spell for the boosted version, I throw all 5 of my dice that I have available to stop it, and it goes through anyway. Darn it. Darn it. Darn it. That was Very frustrating. And I may be wrong on the number of dice, but I did save. That's the only spell I cared about, and it didn't matter. All right, so we go to Kingdom of Equitaine turn 2. I decided I'll charge my general at that the dude that just came on the table, and I back up my Knight's Aspirant. If you look at the very top, I take my Peg Knights and I charge his fast cav unit. I know I'm going to win the combat. Then I need to overrun and get out of line of sight of his Crusher unit. Alternatively, I could just stand there, and then if he charges me, I could flee and get away that way. In hindsight, I think that probably would have been the better thing to do, because when I try to overrun, one, I could not roll enough and he could see me, or two, I can roll real high, get off the table, and then when I come on the table, it's going to be easy for him to line up a charge with his Crushers. So, yeah. Anyway, if you look in the woods, I was able to fly my Virtue of Renown Lord up in the woods, out of line of sight of the Crushers, out of line of sight of his Throg unit. I think he could have charged me with his Hellscream Cannon. I assume that thing still works the way it used to work in Warhammer Fantasy, where he could do something like that. And truth is, I didn't care. That guy's in a nice position to charge either his Hellscream or his Sorcerer, and the Sorcerer is a more attractive target. So with this, I'm really hoping I can kill this guy, overrun, and get into the face of his fast cav. I think that would be just really, really good. Kind of just it would stop his knights. My general would probably get countercharged by his warrior unit, but then they would in turn get countercharged by my Knight's Aspirant, and I think all that could work out well. So there's that. There's that. Go to shooting. This time the Trebs are like, I don't know, these knights are getting close enough, still worried about them. Drop a rock on them and kill 2 knights, so that was nice. Peg Knights easily beat the Barbarian Horsemen, overrun, and they run off the table. The general does his job and kills the guy, and then he just has this really short overrun and can't get into the face, tie up his fast cav. That just bites. It just really does, because now his fast cav is free. He could charge the flank of my lord with those warriors, and his fast cav could just swoop around and chaff up my Knight's Aspirant. So that was not ideal. We go to Warriors turn 3. At the bottom, I took this picture before he moved his fast cav. They're actually not there. So at least his knights are kind of held up on the left-hand side. I'm just not sure yet how much that matters. I think his trolls tried to charge my Questy Knights and failed. I think that's why he isn't really very much closer than what he is, what you see him. There we go. That just bites. What I'm hoping he'll do is beat my general in combat, pursue him, don't catch him, and then make it such that I can charge his fast cav and overrun into his BSB/warriors. But I don't think he's going to let me do that. During the magic phase, his sorcerer put a wound on himself. Otherwise, I think he's protecting that troll unit, because he's getting closer and closer. Now he's out of the woods. I don't think half the unit's in the woods. So now my archers, he's got a lot of archer shots coming at him. Of course, they're flaming. And then after combat, yeah, so he doesn't do any wounds to my general, because we were just in a challenge. He beats me through combat res. I flee. He restrains, because I think he saw the same thing I saw. And so my general's sitting there, and I'm like, well, now I'm just going to rally, and he's going to charge me with his knights. And I don't think they have a champion. So, and I'm not sure if the champions still have to accept challenges. Anyway, I think my general's in a bad position now. But it doesn't matter, because we go to my turn, and he decides he doesn't want to rally and runs off the board. So I traded my general for a guy that gets me no points. So that's not ideal. We go to the shooting phase, though, and the archers go to town. I think there was 2 wounds already on this, and so they do 10 wounds to the troll unit. It was very nice. Very nice. Very much appreciated, archers. Thank you very much. My Virtue of Renown Lord charges his sorcerer. I'd be in a charge in the flank. I was probably going to kill him. He decides to flee. And so then I redirect and charge his Hellscream. At the end of combat, I only did 2 wounds. I think I snuck through a killing blow, and then I do D3 plus 1 wounds, and I rolled a 1. So that could have gone a little bit better. We go to Warriors turn 4, and again, his I don't know if I had backed up. You can see where my guys are. Basically, it looks like he's not advancing very quickly at me, but basically he moves forward and I move back, and so I'm keeping my archers fairly close to where they were, and my knights are just moving backwards. So I don't know if he tried to charge and failed, or if he just said screw it and used this turn to march up closely, knowing that next turn he can get. I'm going to charge him, but at least then he can start countercharging and stuff like that. So overall, it looks like that. You can see I have buffs up on my archers, by the way, so they're probably re-rolling to hit. That's why I did so well against the trolls. And then down here, of course, he's still chaffing up my unit. So, you know, I'm getting to the point now where I need to just charge him and then just take the counter charge, or I guess I could just sit there because you can't really charge with the knights very easily the way things are. His sorcerer rallies, of course, it's no surprise. My guys came back on the board on my turn. I moved directly forward as far as possible. He charged with his Crusher Knights. I fled and got far enough away to stay alive, not too far to run off the table. That's what I'm saying. I should have just stayed where I was to begin with, because that's all I really accomplished anyway. Then during the magic phase, this time I let this guy, the magic spell, go off that brings this guy behind my lines. He's obviously worried about my archers. My archers have already done their job, especially this unit. The other unit I have some more uses for. But this unit, I mean, whatever. So we go to Kingdom of Equitaine turn 4, and yeah, lots of things happen. One, it's kind of funny. I moved my, look where my Damsel's out in the middle of nowhere. On my last turn, I put her out there so that she could use the lore attribute to put on my Pegasus Knights. So they have basically cold-blooded. So on cold-blooded, needing an 8 to rally, they fail to rally. Awesome. But in big news, well, at the very bottom, my Knight's Aspirant charges Fast Cav. Then I have to overrun. I'm probably going to be off the table, which actually works nicely. I'm not going to be able to avoid the charge from his Knights, but you know, I'll probably be steadfast and stuff like that. But in big news, I charge the Questing Knights with my BSB, and both units of archers, one with Reliquary, into his trolls. I'm not sure it was necessary to charge the unit on the right. I'm not sure what good it does. One of the things I was thinking is I just want to catch them. I'm just never confident I can do a ton of wounds on these guys. You never know. If I break them from combat, I want to make sure I catch them. There are these guys. They have one more chance to rally. Now here, what I'm loving about the situation is I'm thinking, you know, what happens if I don't break them, or you know, I don't want to take the chance of getting countercharged by his warrior unit that is, you know, the bottom left of this picture. And my thinking is, I'm just going to have this archer unit on the bottom just stay right where they are. Like, they're not going to pursue him or anything. They're going to stay there, so he can charge me. He'll be in my flank, and he can't kill the Reliquary, and I'm going to be stubborn 8 with a reroll. And I'm just so happy with that unit right now. Like, I mean, this, you know, it takes a lot of the pressure off of what might, you know, what could go wrong in this combat. There's that. I have no doubt I'm going to win that. Yeah, during Magic, she threw some kind of magic missile at that stupid guy, killed him. And the Virtue of Renown works this time. We kill the Hellscream and turn around, so I was happy about that. Knight's Aspirant are off the table, and oh my gosh, my opponent's, this was just awful. So my Knight's Aspirant kill the Fast Cav unit. He has to take a panic test with his warriors, and they're right near the general, right? So they're, I assume, a 9 rerollable, and they fail it. And they run and land right behind his trolls. So then we go to this combat, and 1, he doesn't have a reroll, and 2, I just absolutely crush him in combat res. They break. Not only do we catch his general and the trolls, we overrun and hit his BSB and the warriors and got them all in one fell swoop. That was unfortunate. That was really, really unfortunate for my opponent. So we go to Warriors turn 5. What can he do? Brings a sorcerer and his knights to look at my knight's aspirant. So when I come back on the board, they're gonna hit me, and there's not a lot I can do. He starts bringing his crushers down towards the rest of my lines. I think he's tired of messing with my peg knights. Magic, he does some stuff, whatever. On my turn, that looks like I haven't moved the Knight's Aspirant yet, but basically they just come on the table and they just kind of sit right where they are. I mean, there's not a whole lot they can do. Yeah, I bring the Lord of Renown guy over. He's kind of looking at the flank of that Crusher unit. I turn my archers to face the Crushers, and then I put my Damsel up in front of them. Now, one thing to keep in mind at this tournament is it doesn't matter how many points you lose. It's all about how many points you get. So the only thing I'm really worried about are the Crushers charging the rear of my Questing Knight unit, because I really need the Questing Knights to get points from my opponent's Knight unit. So I'm thinking, charge her, I'm going to flee. If he doesn't pass his redirect test, he's not going to be able to catch her because they'll be blocked by the archers. And then if he charges the archers, I'm probably going to flee with them as well, because what I can't have happen is for him to hit the archers, for me to fail my steadfast, and him to overrun and hit my questing knights. So that's all I'm really doing there. Good, his turn. He charges. When he charges with his sorcerer, I actually flee, because I didn't feel like working out the combat, because I thought that he would just absolutely waste my guys. And, well, I take that back. What I didn't want to have happen is for him to win combat and overrun off the table. So by fleeing with my guys, his knights caught him, and then he could reform, but I knew he'd be on the table. So everybody is where you can see them. I'm getting an easy charge to his knights. I think we're going to win that easily. I'm really hoping my peasants can hit the flank of his sorcerer. That would be great. And they do. Very, very happy about that. Meanwhile, if you look at the top, he charged both units. I fled with both units. He decided to go after my damsel, because if both units flee, you can choose now. He catches her. My Lord, the Virtue of Renown, charges them in the rear. My Peg Knights, by the way, did rally, so I have not that it matters really, but they're on the board still. So there's that. I say I'm super confident about this. I mean, I have the advantage certainly, but you never know what could happen. Virtue of Renown guy kills a Crusher or two, whatever. I win and can't catch him. So that's kind of a bummer. I only get half points for that. And down here, yeah, either I think in both cases I won combat, he broke and ran off the table. And at the end of it, I got all of his points except for half points in the Crushers. So I've got I got whatever the scenario objectives were, I forgot them. I got everything. I mean, this was pretty much maxed out on points. So yeah, that ended up working well. Man of the match, I've got to get to the these guys. Two things they did for me. One, it's kind of unfair because I'm throwing 3 units together, and they all, if anybody does any good, it contributes to them getting man of the match. But just the shooting was just so nice. I mean, I don't have wonderful tools to deal with those trolls, and these guys were that tool. I was very, very happy with that. But then when I did the big charge, and in my mind, like, what happens if my opponent sticks? What happens if this? And to have the Reliquary there saying, you know what, charge my flank, and there's nothing you could do. I'll be stubborn 8 rerollable, and I'll take that chance. And I'll probably be cold-blooded as well because there's a magic phase. So these guys just really, really made that game a lot easier to play. And so it was interesting. After doing all these reports, I did 5 tournament games, and then I had 2 prep games. And whether I count all of them or just the tourney doesn't matter. The MVP was a tie between the Knight's Aspirant and the Bowmen / Reliquary. If I count all 7 games, 3 of them, Aspirants were the man of the match, 3 of them, the Peasants Reliquary were, and 1 of them, the Damsel was. And if I just count the tournament, it was 2-2 and 1. And I'm pondering that because when I'm playing the games, it didn't necessarily feel like that. The Knight's Aspirant especially, this is kind of a quirky build. I'm not sure I would bring this a lot. I would bring it sometimes, but when it worked, it really worked. It's just really vulnerable that when they have to overrun, they're like that last game. These guys were just almost worthless. Um, so I don't know. I find that intriguing because there were other units that, like the Questy Knights, they were kind of like a bedrock for me. They didn't a lot of times didn't do a lot in a game, or at least they didn't. I guess what they didn't do is they didn't perform above what I expected of them, but they did what I needed them to do. I'm very, very happy with the Questy Knights. They're at the moment they're making all my lists. Whereas these, in a 4,500 point game, I can't justify all these archers in the Reliquary. This is kind of unique for a 6,000 point game. But anyway, in case you've been following, in case you've been wondering, it was a tie between the Knights Aspirant and the Peasants. And I think, in all honesty, it's because it's not that they did so much as much as they did more than I expected. These guys never won anything. So I think the problem with... I think my BSB was fine. I'm happy enough with his build. The Lord characters, I'm happy enough with their build. I don't think I used them well. I think there were too many times when I expected these guys to just handle stuff on their own. And, if I used them with other units, got a little more synergy, I think I'd be better off. Questy Knights, I was very, very happy with how they performed. I really liked that unit. The Peg Knights, it was just awful. That was just awful. I think part of the problem is I don't know how to play them. And part of that problem is that is a big, unwieldy unit. The only purpose of it is that I can put my characters there and protect them from shooting. And I think that's just too high of a price to pay. Just don't bring the flying characters, or just plan on hiding them or something. Playing with this unit just wasn't good. It was wasted points in a lot of games. The trebuchets are trebuchets. They were very helpful when they decided to show up. So, even though none of these units / characters made man of the match in any of the games, the Peg Knights are the only ones that I think was a roster design problem. The rest of them, I think it just, I think with the characters I had such high expectations that it was hard for them to surprise me. So anyway, that's it for the game and the tournament. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.